You're listening to the RV Transport Podcast. I'm Tom, the driver.
And I'm Bunny, the sandwich maker.
And we invite you to join us on our journey in the industry of RV transporting, towaway, and drive-away.
So make sure you subscribe to our podcast and also TowawayCouple.com, where you can see our videos and other resources on RV transport.
So enjoy the show. Welcome back to the TowawayCouple RV Transport Podcast. I'm Tom, the driver.
I'm Bunny, the timekeeper.
She is the timekeeper. We're trying to keep our podcast at about 15 minutes per segment, and we're doing about 3 segments per podcast for a total of 45 minutes.
Well, you got ahead of us because you keep forgetting to introduce Bama, the mascot.
Bama, the mascot, sleeping down at our feet. I didn't even realize she was down there.
That's because you don't have the sandwich meat out.
So on this segment, we're actually, the 3 segments we're going to talk about is the slowdown continues.
Yes. We're going to touch on the Elkhart show. And most companies are not hiring, but there are a few that still are.
So we're going to touch on all 3 of those during this podcast.
Yes.
Right now, the slowdown is probably one of the worst people have seen since 2008.
Yeah, so just prepare. I mean, we're going to be half cup empty, half cup full. We're going to keep a good positive mind and think that things are going to pick up.
Right. So they're talking this slowdown is going to continue all the way into 2023.
Yes.
The beginning of 2023.
Well, hopefully it's going to just be the beginning of 2023, but let's see what happens with this economy and with the interest rates going up.
That's another thing that's keeping the slowdown going.
Yeah. So you know what? It is getting rough. I just want to be nice to people. I mean, we're all in this together. I mean, I can't say it enough. I just seen it again. There was another guy. He went into one of the other social media groups and he said, "Hey, I'm trying to get into this when I retire. What do I need?" And oh my God, they chopped his head off.
They were burning him at the stake?
They burned him at the stake.
Did he say when he was going to retire? Was it going to be next week, next month, next year?
No, but oh my God, it was everything from, so you people that are retired or have another income, why are you being so greedy? We just, let us other people that do it for a full-time living make money. And then somebody else is like, "You're taking food off of my kids' plate."
Oh my God.
So the guy actually went in there today and of course, was like, "I have never met such a bigger group of people out trying to kill me." And he said, "You know what? I don't think I want to do this anymore. I don't want to be around people like you."
And that's exactly why the mob mentality continues.
Yes.
If we caved to the mob mentality, which we get daily all the time sometimes, we wouldn't be doing this either, but we have thicker skin than that.
Right. And you know what? Just because somebody has another income doesn't mean that they can pay all of their bills on that income, or they can pay all their bills on that, but they need a little extra money to get through too. We all have different reasons on why we do RV transport, and no one should be downing each other for the reasons why they do it.
Now, a lot of the people that do this full time, it's great that they were able to do it full time and are able to do it full time. However, when we first got into this, we were told by we call them old timers.
Yes.
People who've been in this industry 5, 10, 15 plus years. And they always say, save for the slowdown, but have backup plans. And if you have another source of income, you are going to be ahead of everybody else out there.
Yes, exactly.
And that is the problem. A lot of these people don't understand, while someone may be retired and have a secondary income, doesn't mean they can pay all their bills.
No, exactly.
I mean, with all the taxation today, and I mean, come on, they tax Social Security.
It's horrible. I mean, I went to the grocery store the other day and bought 3 bags and spent $120. I'm like, it's insane.
We have a friend that he has heart problems. He is on a very limited retirement, and he still has to work with heart conditions just to pay all of his bills.
Yes.
And he lives a very simple life. But no, this industry is for everybody. If you're retired, hell, if you work Friday through Sunday at a regular job making full-time wages, and you want to come up to Elkhart and pick up on Monday and deliver on Thursday somewhere and be back to work on Friday, who are we to downplay you? It's none of our business.
No.
And while we get that people will think you're taking food off their plate, taking clothes off their kids' back, maybe, just maybe, those people might consider looking for another form of income or another line of work if it's not working out for them.
Right. And somebody told us that, a lot of people, and it's the absolute truth, being contractors, we are in control of our own destiny. We are in control of our own business. Therefore, people should treat it that way. I mean, if you're running 2 or 3 trucks and you have to downsize, then you have to downsize. There's nothing negative, or should anybody say anything to you because you have to downsize. I mean, come on, we run 2 trucks. Our insurance alone is $750 a month on top of 2 truck payments.
Right.
In this industry, at this time, is it wise? Probably not.
But we were already in that position,
We were already in that situation.
We didn't just say, oh, there's a nice slowdown happening. Let's just buy a new truck and add commercial insurance to that one and just double everything up. Yeah. I mean, yeah, we kind of did sign the lease on our apartment, and we haven't felt it yet, but no. We're expecting to feel the tightening of the belt straps real fast.
Yep, ain't no one having Christmas at our family.
No. They're not getting gifts from mom and dad or grandma and grandpa this year.
Well, some of them are, because I already started buying presents.
That's true. You already did start buying.
But the ones that I didn't buy for aren't getting Christmas.
But the slowdown it is continuing. It's going to continue on till at least mid-January, possibly February of 2023.
Well, yeah, because you got to think, they talk mid-January, but the plants don't even come back until mid-January. So now we're talking, they're not going to come back till mid-January. By the time they get manufacturing rolling, we probably won't see trailers to pull until February.
Well, let's go back one step on that. We're currently in a slowdown, a huge slowdown, because of the recession and all kinds of stuff happening. But there was just a plant shut down for the new model year in July.
Right.
And we have not recovered from that shutdown, and they're going to do a Christmas shutdown.
Right. And there's talk of a lot of plants furloughing their employees from November till January. So yeah, we're all going to feel it. That is for sure. So whatever little bit of money you have, keep it tucked away.
Well, we're not the only ones feeling it. We do know that the transport companies are laying people off right now.
Yes, they are.
If you go by any transport company, and there was 30 cars out there 6 months ago, 50 cars, 100 cars, and you go by there today and you see 10 cars, Would you want to put money on the roulette table saying that about 40 people got let go?
Yeah. And when you go in there, they're like, "Oh, everybody's at lunch."
Yeah, everyone's at lunch, or they're at a show, or at a convention.
But it's 3 in the afternoon.
Yeah, like what show, what convention? That's so. It's kind of funny that they'll still not admit to it.
Well, so you got to think. I mean, it's the RV manufacturers, the transportation companies, all of anybody that makes RV parts. Everybody's going to be hurting.
Right. But like Bunny was saying, you know, if people are online asking, and if you're new, you know, join our group, RV Transport Group for New People. Ask your questions. We only allow positive, supportive answers. We know that people are going to come and go in this industry, and we want to support future people, but also support the people that are currently out of work too. But there's no reason why you can't ask a question, especially if you're going to be retiring. Who knows if you're retiring? I've seen people say they're retiring in 2 years. This is how far they're looking into it.
Right. They just want to get everything purchased and set up. And I'm sure within 2 years, we're going to be going strong again.
Right. But if someone's looking to get into this 2 years from now, there's no reason to give them a bad taste in their mouth. I always say that a lot of people think these RV transport people is all kumbaya, loving each other and making sure everyone feels warm and fuzzy and safe at night. But the fact is, yes, RV transporters are great people. And if you go on Facebook and say, hey, I'm kind of broke down, I need something, if they're along that route, they'll be the first to jump up and help you. But on a side note, it is a whole lot of individual businesses and a whole lot of competition.
Yes. So like you said, you know, especially for the new people getting into it, yeah, you've got to understand it is a very tight time. 2 years ago, we were all running hard, making a lot of money. Now we're not hardly making anything. So when people see new people wanting to get into it, yeah, they get defensive because they think that we're, there's other people that are going to take the money. And so it's just a really, really tough time right now.
Well, and there are a lot of companies are looking into the future. They're obviously cutting the fat or trimming the fat. We see it on Facebook, weeding out the dead weight and everything.
Yes.
So we see a lot of that. So as Bunny said, it is very, very slow. The slowdown continues. It's going to continue. I mean, I don't even know how much we'll be able to talk about on our podcast. Right. Except for Jamaica. But anyway, what do we have?
We are at 13 minutes.
All right. So we'll end this podcast here because we just wanted to let you know that, yes, it's going to be slow. Treat your transporting as a business. If you are not succeeding in it, don't go under. Find other means to make money and come back to this at a later date when the RV transport industry picks up. If you're looking to get into this, you may want to hold off until things get a lot better. You can do whatever you want to do. It's just right now is probably not the time to get into RV transport.
Right. Sit it out. Let the economy settle down, and let's get through the first of the year to where manufacturers start buying, dealers start buying RVs again, and we start rolling again.
Yep. So stay tuned for our next segment. All right. So welcome back to the TowawayCouple RV Transport Podcast with Tom, the driver.
And I am Bunny, and I am the Gosh, I even forgot what I am this time.
The keeper of the notepad right now.
I am the keeper of the notepad.
Because we're trying to do segments and we're kind of figuring out what would go good for our 45-minute podcast. So we're moving our notes around.
Yes.
So this segment is about the RV transport companies. And are they hiring or are they holding off hiring during the slowdown?
Well, it depends on what company you're looking at.
Right.
There are some that are hiring. There are some that are hiring for specialty needs.
And some are just hiring.
Yes. The ones that are just hiring are the ones that I would be afraid of.
I would be deathly afraid of any transport company right now that's hiring towaway drivers with trucks for local United States runs.
Yes. I mean, non-CDL. If you're a non-CDL with just a truck and you want to do towaway, I wouldn't.
Right. So, what we're seeing, here's the kind of the trend we're seeing out there. Take Starfleet, for instance. They are not looking at hiring any towaway drivers currently. For how long did they say? Till
they said, I think probably until the beginning of the year, at least.
I mean, that may change, but right now, they're being honest saying we're not leasing anyone on until the end of the year. However, they do need drive-away drivers with a tow car.
CDL. CDL drivers with a tow car.
That is the minimum requirement because they have a lot of stuff going to Canada.
They have a lot of stuff going to Canada, and they've got a lot of big Class A motorhomes that somebody like me that does not have a CDL cannot drive.
Correct. We're hearing rumors that the mandates in Canada are going to drop, so you may or may not need vaccinations, but you will need passports.
Right. But then again, there are a lot of people that don't like to go to Canada because the fuel costs are high. And a lot of people just don't like to have to pass through the border. But you know what? To each their own. However it works for you is however it's going to work for you. But
now, we were kind of told a little rumor that Mapletree is kind of holding off hiring towaway drivers for about 7 weeks, they said.
7 to 10 weeks.
Now, this isn't confirmed. It's just one of their drivers we were talking to, and they were saying that that's what they're being told because they want to keep the loads that they have for their current drivers and not create competition with new drivers.
Right. So let's kind of give a scenario to you. Right now with us, a lot of us sitting for 2 to 3 weeks between dispatches, people are going home. They're not sitting here and they're not sitting in Elkhart and waiting typically.
Not everyone.
So they're going home, and the only way they're going to come back up to Elkhart is if they have a West Coast run or a run that's going to go very far just to make it worth their while. So therefore, there's still a lot of loads sitting in Elkhart that are only going like 100, 200, 300 miles that nobody's going to touch.
Now, someone like me and Bunny, who have our apartment in Elkhart, we could do those runs. And my question always is you know, right now we're on a list. And if we do a 200-mile run, does that put us at the bottom of the list? And now we took a 200-mile run and it negates us for a 2,200-mile run later.
Exactly.
I don't know.
So do you want to roll the dice?
I think I'm going to have to ask that question.
I think we need to ask that question.
Because I don't know.
Hey, if it takes 200 or 300 miles and no one else wants it and they need a favor, I'll do it.
Right. Now, one of the things that we're seeing is we were in Indiana Transport.
Yes.
And I jokingly said, hey, you know, people watch our videos and now we have podcasts. We'll refer all the new people to you. And they begged us not to.
They're like, please don't.
They're
please
like, don't do that.
We are not hiring anybody right now. Please don't have people call here.
So Indiana Transport, they have a ton of drivers and very few loads. So
you know what? Let me throw a date in there in case you're listening to this in 2 years. We are currently in just coming up to October 1st of 2022.
right?
So that way, if somebody's listening to it in 6 months.
Yeah, I guess that's true. So, but yeah, so we went in there for, Bunny had to go to payroll to get her new Comdata card because her other one got hacked.
Yep.
And while we were in Jamaica.
Yeah. Apparently, while I was in Jamaica, I was buying shoes in England.
Yes.
Pretty good.
Right. How great is that?
Right.
So we were in there, we were talking, and it is just a ghost town in there, but it's a ghost town everywhere.
Yes. All transport companies are ghost towns right now.
But at least they're straight up saying they are not hiring anyone. There are a few companies, we won't mention their names. Well, there's one, what is it that does all Canada runs?
Is that Transport US or
they post in our group.
Team RV?
Team RV. Team RV I believe they only do Canada runs. So they're still hiring because it's hard to get loads to Canada, especially when you have to have vaccines and passports.
Especially coming up on winter.
And coming up on winter, that's going to be a very sucky drive for a lot of people.
Yeah.
But, so they're hiring. I get that. If you don't mind driving in the snow and don't mind taking your time and don't mind a little extra precaution, check them out. And if you have vaccines, but just dropping the vaccine mandate October 1st, right?
Yep.
So that may go away.
So guess what? Me and Bama might have to be putting on our big girl panties.
But don't forget, just because Canada drops the vaccine mandate, RV transport companies typically will go more stringent than the government requirements.
Yes.
Take for our logging, for instance.
Exactly. They're going to go above and beyond to protect themselves. Yes.
Yeah, as they should.
Absolutely.
It's their business, just like the drivers need to protect themselves as their business.
Mm-hmm.
But now, here's the thing. They're doing Canada runs. There's plenty of loads going to Canada. Not with our company now, because that became very sought after very fast.
Yes, it did.
But that Team RV, whatever it is, they post in our group, RV Transport for New People, all the time. They post their rates and everything. But they seem to only do Canada runs, so they have a lot of runs. There is another company, I won't even mention their name.
Nope.
But they are hiring today.
We talked to somebody whose friends was, it's friends of ours, and their friends were going through orientation.
And I was very, very shocked. And I said, what do you mean they're going through orientation? I'm hearing from their drivers every day wanting to know if our load board had any loads. And were they keeping us busy because they were sitting around? So what does that tell me is, okay, so just so you know, if you're new to this, RV transport companies hold out loads for new drivers the day of or the day after orientation. You are assigned your first dispatch. It's kind of like a trial by fire or prove yourself type dispatch, but it gets you on their payroll, it gets money on your Comdata or EFS card, and they want to make sure that you don't wreck their unit before you get there.
Exactly. And it's usually only like 200 or 300 miles, so they want you to run it and then come back. That way they can also check your log books, make sure your logs are correct.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's what they do, is they check your logs. But yeah, like Bunny says, typically they're 200 to 300 mile runs, very short runs. We have seen people go from Indiana all the way to California, 2,200 miles on their very first dispatch. That would have been nice. Our first dispatch was 160 miles.
Yeah.
So
Yes.
that kind of sucked. And then we didn't know how it all worked. It's a learn as you go business.
And each company is completely different.
Exactly. And we didn't know that. They didn't open up the load board until after they paid you, and then it goes to your dispatcher, then it goes back to compliance, and then they open up the load board. It could take a day or two later.
Yeah. Yeah.
So depending on the company. But so here's the problem. You go hire on somewhere and that recruiter says, yeah, we got loads. Yeah, they got loads for you the first day. They're not lying about that.
Nope.
But what they're not disclosing is now you're in competition for your second load with 1,000 other drivers.
Yes.
Potentially 1,000 other drivers.
So you're stuck right there with everybody else. And guess what? You've only run 200 or 300 miles, and now you're sitting in Elkhart because you don't have enough money to get back home.
Exactly, especially if you live in Texas or California. But the thing about these companies, if they're hiring local runs today, ask them how many drivers they have, and then ask them how many trailers they have. If they say if they don't answer you, that's a huge red flag.
Yes.
And if they do answer you and they say, yeah, we got 1,200 drivers. How many loads do you have? Oh, we have 50. So where do you think you're going to be sitting next week after orientation?
You know what? I think that we should buy some property, just some property, and put out porta potties and let everybody just tent camp there instead of sleeping in their trucks.
Exactly. Make it like Woodstock.
Yeah.
What are we at here?
Transport camp.
Oh, okay. We're doing good.
Yeah, so definitely ask all of your questions. If you are going through orientation, just know that it is very slow. And if you're going to make the trek up to Elkhart to sit through orientation to get a dispatch, just be prepared that you might be sitting for a
week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Well, we just talked to that driver who had been there for 3 weeks waiting for a dispatch.
And that's with multiple companies.
And he knew that there was a waiting list.
Right. But like I said, that's every driver we're talking to, their company is the same way.
Every company is the same way. Now, there was a Hershey show 2 weeks ago?
Yes.
Week and a half ago. And there was the Elkhart show. When is the Elkhart show?
The Elkhart show is this weekend, actually.
Is this coming weekend?
Yes.
All right. So a lot of the transport companies are pins and needles waiting on these shows because the Hershey show, depending on how well it went, is depending on when we're going to be going back to work and when the manufacturer is going to be going back to work.
Well, no, that's going to be all dependent on this show.
No, this show is getting rid of the...
No, this show is all...
the new model?
This is all of the new models to where all of the dealers get to... Only the dealer show comes out so they can see what the manufacturers have for the new ones. So they're going to be out there writing contracts with these dealers to bring in new units.
Right. So our hope is that every dealership, every big dealership, or better yet, every dealership our company has a contract with.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it may or may not be your company, but we're hoping our company has contracts with, comes out and just buys everything. Says,
yes.
You know what? We're projecting a huge turnaround in this industry. We'll buy.
Right. But also, too, I've heard that not only do they sign contracts for new purchasing for the 2023s, but anything that 2022s that the manufacturers have left still in inventory, they are able to purchase those
at a very big discount.
At a very big discount. So that means that all of these holding yards that have 2022 models in them might be able to get moved. So these dealers can sell those and discount those so people buy those before the 23s come out.
Now, here's another option for you guys. our company is asking for motorhome shuttles right now.
Yes.
People, if you're sitting around for a week, 2 weeks like we were, we didn't think about shuttling motorhomes. And like they said, there might be a few motorhomes, there might be no motorhomes, but at least while you're sitting in the Elkhart area, you could be making money to at least cover your expenses while you're there.
Mm-hmm.
So you may want to check with your company and that you're leased on with or hired on with about possibly shuttling both trailers and motorhomes.
Right, absolutely. I mean, definitely, we like shuttling. It's fun.
We do.
But we also like to jump in our truck and go to California.
2,200 miles, too.
I'm actually very happy that Canada is opening back up because there's some beautiful country up there.
I don't want to go where the transport bandits went.
Oh, no. No, we're not going. We're not going to Labrador. They went to Newfoundland. And then couldn't get a ferry to come back. So they had to drive all the way through Labrador, Quebec, and come back down through Maine.
And what they say, they saw 3 gas stations and 3 houses
yeah.
in 600 miles?
Yes. I told Cheryl, I'm like, you are brave. I would have been scared to death. She goes, I was scared.
I'd be crapping my pants.
And no cell service.
Oh, my God.
And like Jeff said, even if you did break down, there wasn't even any vehicles that came by. She said in 600 miles, they counted 10 cars.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, no, thank you.
I mean, that's an adventure.
That is an adventure.
What are we at?
We are at 15
All
minutes.
right, so we're going to end this here, and we're going to come back with another segment, so stay tuned. And we are back. You are listening to TowawayCouple RV Transport Podcast. I'm Tom, the driver.
I'm Bunny, the timekeeper, and we have Bama, our mascot.
Yeah, so this segment of our podcast, we're going to talk about drivers that are no longer transporting.
Right, because they're starting to exit the field.
They are. So, one of the things that we wanted to kind of put out there is if you are a driver and you're looking to de-lease, do not just sell your equipment right away because now is not the time to sell it because it's a buyer's market. You want to be in a seller's market. And B, we're seeing several people who have gotten out of the RV transport and then a month later they're back doing it again.
Yes.
So don't just get rid of your equipment. But me and Bunny were talking, as she says, hang on to it. This is all going to turn around, and if you're still not interested in doing it, next March, April, May, whatever, it's going to be a seller's market.
Right, when springtime rolls around and they start purchasing motorhomes and RVs again, then yeah, definitely everybody's going to be wanting to get back into it.
Now, there's a lot of reasons why transporters are no longer doing it. The slowdown.
Yes.
That's the big one right now.
That is the big one. They're finding it too costly to either drive up here after a dispatch or to sit up here and wait for a dispatch. So they're finding other jobs at home.
Well, and some RV transporters have put all their eggs in one basket.
Yes.
And unfortunately, the basket tipped over.
Yeah, exactly. You know, and it goes back into the fact is people always ask, if I'm going to get into this, should I get a brand new truck? Well, you know, that there's definitely yings and yangs to a brand new truck. Yeah, definitely if you buy a used truck, one, you don't know what you're getting into, so you don't know what repairs are going to be like. But when we're sitting in a time like this, your truck is paid for when the guy next to you has a brand new truck payment.
Exactly. But the guy with the truck payment has a warranty.
Yeah.
Where we saw a friend of ours who, after all said and done, he had to get out of it because the repair bill was going to be in excess of $11,000. and they say save for the breakdown. I was saving about $5,000 or $6,000 on average, but $11,000 is
that would
quite
have been
the projection.
That is. Now, at one point we did have that kind of money on our cards, but at this point, no, we don't, because the dispatches are few and far between.
Right, so we're kind of sticking with our dually that has the bumper-to-bumper warranty and leaving the single rear wheel that has no warranty sitting in the parking lot.
Exactly. We'll use it when we can.
But yeah, so a lot of people put all their eggs in one basket, and they're dropping out to go back to work at the oil fields. We know a lot are going back to over-the-road drivers, and some of our friends are even going to CDL classes, not for RV transport, but to become over-the-road drivers, team drivers.
Yes, that way they can still remain together and still enjoy life on the road.
Exactly. Now, unfortunately, this is also a time where the RV transport companies can be a little more selective.
Yes, absolutely. So, you've heard of the saying, thinning the herd. Well, this is about the time when it's starting to happen.
And before, they always would say on the load board, if the cost per mile was too small, it was thinning the herd. It wasn't really thinning the herd because they still had regular price loads on the load board. It was just a head scratcher, but everyone's used the term, oh, they're thinning the herd. And they're keeping the people who will take the low cost, low paying loads, and getting rid of the people who have been doing it for a long time that expect a higher pay.
Right.
And it really wasn't back then, but I think today it's not so much the cost per mile that they're going to do, is they're going to look at who is going to be more helpful to that RV transport company and who's going to sit at home and wait it out.
Well, yeah, because you've got to think, you've got so many drivers from all over the United States and there are so many of them that have to sit at home and wait for a dispatch. Well, unfortunately, they have to wait for a long haul dispatch
to make money.
To make money for them to even drive into Elkhart to get it. So, I mean, I get that. I completely understand, and that's one of the reasons why we chose to go ahead and sign our lease and stay here, because at least we have the opportunity to take smaller
right,
mile
like our
loads.
lease at the apartment.
Yeah.
Not on the truck.
Yeah.
But yeah, so another way they are thinning the herd is, me and Bunny are all about being positive, polite, upbeat. We know how to scroll. We know how to not have to comment on anything that we feel is going to be a negative. And right now, if you have been rude to anybody at your company, now would probably be the time that they look at all those people and say, they're not a benefit to this company.
Exactly. I've heard of companies start looking at people that have had damage claims in the past.
Right.
Unfortunately, there are people that have, clearly have accident claims that were not their fault. And there are accident claims that
clearly were their fault.
So, it's a yin and a yang, and unfortunately it is at this point in the game. But you also got to think, if you were working for one of these major manufacturing companies, they're doing the same thing.
Right.
They're
going to keep people on that have good work ethics, show up on time, don't leave early, and do a good job, and they don't screw things up.
Right. Now, fortunately for them, they get unemployment because they get a paycheck.
Right.
We are individual contractors and independent, so we don't get that option.
Yeah, if we're released, we are out of work, out of luck.
Yes.
Instantly,
yes.
I mean, if you didn't have a kitty before, it's going to be a rough road ahead of you.
Yes. So yeah, people are starting to drop like five, and a lot of it that we see too is team drivers. So definitely, if one takes a job back home, then more
Most
than
likely the other will too.
yeah. So you're going to drop 2 drivers from one company.
But what we were talking about being nice and stuff is me and Bunny have been in dispatch, we've been in payroll, we've been in compliance, not working in them, but standing in the room when in all these different departments, the drivers feel the need to yell at each individual.
Well, some people just think that raising their voice and degrading people will get them further up the line, and it doesn't.
It doesn't.
It might get you what you want right there at that moment, so they can get you out and keep you quiet. But don't think that they aren't going to remember that.
Exactly. And so it's best to always have a good relationship with all the people in your office.
Yes.
Not just the people you like, but even the people you dislike. You don't have to like everyone, but you have to work with everyone.
Yes, you do.
So we don't want you to get thinned, the herd thinned with you because of stuff that was said in jest or said in anger. Remember, if you're new to this and you come in, really honestly, leave the super trucker mentality at home.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people I've seen when we started this 2.5 years ago, I'm always curious how many people are still doing it today.
Yep. And there's so many, like I said, there are so many people that are everybody is great. I mean, I love meeting people and getting to know people, but and you hear them talk and you hear people say, oh, well, I went in there and I told them this or I told them that. Not said, they didn't say, hey, well, if it's not going to work out this way, next time can we do this?
Right.
I mean, you got to take the political road and be nice.
Now, as I said in the very beginning about selling your stuff, this is the flip side of the coin. Some people may have to sell their stuff to pay some bills.
Yes.
Unfortunately, I'm not saying exploit that. I'm saying that there are going to be very, very good deals to be found out there. If you're out there listening to our podcast or watching our videos or on the Facebook groups, and you're going to get into this in a year or 2 years down the road, this stuff never goes out of date.
No, it's not like you're going to get buy an iPhone 6 and they're going to have an iPhone 25 by the time you get into it.
Right.
Yeah, that doesn't work that way.
Yeah, so if somebody's getting out of this and they're selling a 95-gallon fuel auxiliary tank with the toolbox combo, which we happen to have on our truck, but it's not for sale, that's about a $2,000 tank. And if someone's selling it for $700, that is a good deal.
Yes. Yes.
Now, $2,100 is installed.
Right.
But I'm just saying that that the fifth wheel hitches, we paid $1,500 for each of our fifth wheel hitches for both of our trucks, the BMW Companion. We see people selling them all the time. They start off wanting $1,000, but by the time all said and done, they're selling them for between $600 and $700, barely even used.
Yep.
The rock guards, they're about $250. I've seen people sell a weight distribution hitch setup, the rock guard, mud flaps, and even the rear toolbox for $300-400.
Yeah, so it's just a matter of looking.
And then you can exploit those pricing. Don't exploit the driver, but definitely if somebody's willing to take $150 for a $450 weight distribution setup, I would definitely jump on. I almost bought one, but it sold out before I could even get it. They had the weight distribution hitch, a fifth wheel hitch, and the rock guard. I didn't need the rock guard, but I wanted the fifth wheel hitch, and the weight distribution hitch I wanted as a backup. And they wanted $400 for everything. The weight distribution hitch was worth that new, but I figured the fifth wheel hitch alone was worth twice that.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
So I almost bought it, and I didn't get there in time.
It would have been a good deal.
It would have been
because at that time
deal.
we were actually looking for a new fifth wheel hitch.
And we were looking for a weight distribution hitch for our second truck.
Yes.
So, but it was a class 3 weight distribution hitch, not a class 5. So I wasn't really that interested in that. Well, I guess I could have replaced the shank. That's all you replace.
Right, right.
But anyway, we wanted to just say, if you're really, think of it this way, this is your business. You're not in an office at the transport company. You're not getting a weekly paycheck. You're not going to get unemployment. If your business is failing, meaning you're not getting but one dispatch a month, if that, you cannot pay all your bills, your insurance, truck payments, house payment, utilities, food on one trip a month. Even if it was a California run and back every month, it would not sustain you.
No. If you're at that point, then start looking at other options.
Definitely at least look at a second source of income and do RV transport on the side at minimum. Or just go ahead and find a second source of income and step out of RV transport so you're not stressed out or competing with 1,000 other drivers for the 20 loads that they have a month.
For that one company.
But there's no shame in the game. It's not a competition on who lasts longer or anything. If this isn't working out for me and Bunny, you can guarantee we will step out and go figure something else out.
Yep.
Even if it's to go to work at McDonald's.
Yeah, exactly. Even if it came to the point where we had to sell a truck and break our lease and move back to Alabama.
Yeah, because we did. That was an option for us. Is while we do have a year lease, yeah, it would cost us $5,000 to break a lease, but we could break our lease and be back in Alabama in a house that's fully paid for.
Right, exactly.
And we could easily sell one of the trucks.
Yep.
Not a problem. So anyway, we just want to talk about it. Yeah, a lot of drivers, both TowAway and DriveAway, are exiting the business either by choice or not by choice. But either way, prepare yourself and definitely look at all aspects and make sure you're running your business where it's profitable.
Yes.
Or at least you're willing to hang on, but don't go in debt doing it.
No, too many people are, so.
That's about all I have to say about that, as Forrest Gump would say.
Of course, because you're in Savannah, Georgia.
Because I'm in Georgia. Greenbow, Alabama. We got Bama down here sleeping. All right, stay tuned for next Thursday's podcast. We got more senseless stuff to talk about.
Yes.
To waste your time.
We always have senseless stuff to talk about.
All right. We'll see you guys down the road.
We'll see you down the road.